Is Samsung's brand new 5K monitor going directly after Apple's Studio Display? I think so, and let's talk about it. All right, welcome back to the channel. Now this is exciting news. Samsung's finally going after Apple's Studio Display, and they're coming out with a brand new monitor. It's a 5K panel, 27-inch. They call it the Samsung ViewFinity S9 monitor, and it's going to look, I'm going to show you some stuff here in a second. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through Apple stuff first really quickly, and then some alternatives, and then we're going to talk extensively about this S9 monitor. I'm going to show you some close-up pictures of the front, the back, the connections into it. You're going to learn a lot about this monitor. Now, it's not out yet. It's coming out soon. We don't know the pricing yet either, but I'm going to take some guesses, and I have some information I'll give you at the end of the video as well. So stay tuned, and without further ado, let's get into this and find out why am I so excited about this brand new 5K panel. Finally, we might be able to get a different monitor and not spend $1,600. All right, as we all know, Apple's had a huge foothold on the industry. They came out basically with they call it the Pro Display XDR monitor. It was about $5,000, and you have to spend $1,000 for a stand even. Otherwise, you have to hang it on the wall. Crazy, right? $6,000. Who's got that kind of money? Unless you're Bill Gates or you're kind of a studio producing company. I don't, you don't, so that was kind of off the, we couldn't even afford that one. Then the Studio Display came out last year, $1,600. Still pretty high for most people, trust me. I don't have one either. $1,600 is a lot of money. Plus, the stand could barely move. You had to spend, I think, $2,000 to get a stand that actually worked both this way and this way. So what is Apple doing there? I have no idea. So finally, Samsung's coming out with a monitor, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But I just wanted to kind of set the stage here that Apple kind of, owns this industry right now, and it's time they're dethroned on this because it just breeds competition in this field. All right, so what's available right now? Well, the big one is LG's UltraFine 27-inch. That's going to be a 27-inch 5K screen as well. That's been out for a while, right? A lot of people picked that up before when they couldn't pick up the $5,000 or $6,000 monitor. Now it's kind of it's very difficult to make the decision between that one, the LG UltraFine, and also the Studio Display. Now, when the LG UltraFine came out, it was $1,400-$1,500, but now I'm looking on eBay. You can get it for $1,166. I'll show you a picture here. So $1,166 is still pretty steep for what you get, and why? Because it's kind of like a black, ugly plastic. It's got a flimsy stand, a lot of videos, people shaking it. It's also got, I think, let me see here if it actually has it. It's got 500 nits of brightness versus 600 on the Studio Display. And then, it just doesn't match, and it's just not the best kind of experience when you're getting into that expensive of a monitor, right? If you're going to spend $1,200, you might as well spend $1,500 or $1,600. Maybe not, I don't know. But I think that's where the problem with the UltraFine is. So that's one you can get. I'll have links to this in the description, but let's keep going. All right, then the other choice that came out last year was by Samsung, believe it or not. They made a monitor called the M8, and the kind of key features, it's 32 inches, but it's only 4K, so the PPI is going to be a lot less than the Studio Display, but you get a bigger screen, right? So the reason for that is they designed it to look almost like an Apple-type monitor. It was very clean. They made a white version of it that was super clean. It's kind of a clean plastic look, but looks like an Apple-type product. Then they came in, I think, 4 other colors, like a greenish, a pink, a blue, so you could actually kind of match like my iMac here if you wanted a second screen or something. And on top of that, they also played apps on there. You could get apps you could download and stuff. But it was only 4K. It was 32 inches. It just wasn't, that good as far as the Studio Display is, as far as professional work. But it came out, I think, for about $800 when it came out. And if I'm looking here correctly, let me just see. I just saw it for $493 on Amazon. $493. I'll show you a picture right here. So the street price is considerably less. And I think that's what happened, with the S9 that's coming out, this brand new 5K. I think it's going to start higher. And then over a year, it's going to creep back down to like 60% of that, manufacturer's price. And that's what we're looking at. So we can hit a certain price point, which we'll get into. All right, just some basic specs on this now, and then we're going to show you pictures in the front and the back and everything else, so stay tuned for that. And I'll show you kind of a picture of it right here. There it is. So the thing that makes this so interesting is look at it. It looks exactly like the Studio Display, number one. Number two, it's an aluminum display, so it's not going to be cheap plastic, and it's going to be very close to that Studio Display, and it looks exactly like it. I'm not even sure how they can get around patent stuff and all that kind of design stuff with this, because it looks so close. Take a look at it. All right, so let's talk about the specs of this monitor really quickly. So it's got it's 27-inch, basically. We talked about that 5K, 5120 by 2880. So it's exactly the same as a Studio Display, basically. Then we have a 99% DCI P3 color gamut. It's the same as a studio display, so very similar there as well. So then we're kind of going down the list here. Then it basically has built-in color calibration engine, very similar as well. This is the key kicker though. This is different now. We're going to show you the back of this in a second, but it's got one Thunderbolt 4 port, 3 USB-C ports, and 1 display port. So it's got a lot of different options for the IU on the back of it versus the studio display that doesn't. They have a number of ports, but they're all the same. So this actually has a Thunderbolt 4 port as well, which is key. A couple other differences too. This is going to be a matte finish, so it's got a matte finish. It's not the glass finish that you see on the Apple. You actually have to pay more for that on the Apple Studio display. So if you like a matte finish where if you're kind of against a window or across from a window where you get a lot of glare, this could work really well, and that's going to be a key difference here as well. And then a couple other things that make this interesting is it's going to, these are two huge things. It's going to have a built-in 4K webcam, and they say it's, 4K, it's going to be a lot better, I think, than the Studio Display's webcam. That's key. Plus it detaches. I'll show you some pictures of the M8. They did this on the M8, the monitor I was talking about before, and it detaches from the back of the monitor by a magnet. It works flawlessly, and if you don't want privacy and stuff, you can take this off. Plus the camera's a lot bigger, so it's a better quality camera on there. And so overall, that's really good. And then finally, the biggest thing is, again, is you're going to get some additional features with this Samsung S9 monitor. So you're going to get basically a smart hub built into it, so you can play different kind of streaming things and stuff on here, maybe Netflix and stuff. So it's going to have that built into it where you can do that. And then it says like things like Google Meet and stuff. You can go directly from the, you can just use it directly on the monitor instead of going through a computer. So if you want to watch shows and TV and stuff that you have on apps, you can do that on this monitor, the new S9, the S9. And so that's going to be a key feature. Obviously, Apple doesn't have that, even though Apple has that CPU in there and the RAM and everything, and they have some storage. They just don't let you do anything like that. And then finally, it's got 600 nits of brightness, which is very similar to the Apple, the Studio display. It's, and that's an HDR. So with HDR, it's up to 600 nits. Now, so that begs the question, right? Is Samsung actually, I don't even know if they make the other panel, but is this the same exact panel that's in the Studio display? I mean, everything's the same that I've gone through so far, except they've built in some of those extra features which don't have to do with the panel. They're more kind of extras you build into the back end of it. So is this the same panel? Is this going to be the exact same panel? We don't know. And then the two kickers are going to be the aluminum design, which is huge. So you get this aluminum, beautiful design. And then finally, you get a stand that can move all different directions for the same cost. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, another $400 or $500 to put a stand on this thing so that you can move in all different directions, up, down, left, right. That's key in this monitor, and this is why it could kill the Apple Studio. All right, so there's no price on this yet. Stay with me here. Now, I'm guessing it's going to be in that maybe $12.99 to start, maybe $13.99, $12.99 price range. I think they want to come under the Studio display, and you're going to say to you're going to say, well, that's going to be too expensive even for me now. Well, hear me out. Remember I said the M8. The M8 was the monitor that came out last year. It's just the 4K screen. That started at $800. Its street price now is in the 400s, $489 or something. I wonder if this is going to happen with this one. If this starts at $12.99, in the first year, they can bring this down to around $9.99. Would a 5K aluminum panel like this be worth $9.99 to you or $8.99? Where's that price point? As soon as it hits a certain price point, I think the whole floodgate's going to open up. People are going to buy from all different angles, and this is going to take out the Apple Studio display if it's good enough and if it's also cheap enough. So I think $9.99 is that price, maybe $8.99. So if Samsung can do whatever they can do to get this in that, after maybe 6 months, the market, here's the manufacturer's price, the market kind of goes like this, and then on Amazon you can pick it up for $9.99, $8.99. I think everyone that is serious about work or videos and things might be looking at this, and it would just be kind of a game changer for a lot of people using Macs. All right, so we don't know when it's coming out. That's the key here. It should be in a few months, so stay tuned. I'm going to put links to this when it comes out in this video, so check back. I'll have links to these other monitors I talked about as well, including the Samsung M8 if you've never seen that one before. It's a cool, good monitor. Bigger, 32 and only 4K. So, there's some differences there, but it's actually a nice monitor as well. But the ViewFinity, what is it? ViewFinity S9 by Samsung is the one we're waiting for. And obviously when you watch this, it may have already came out, maybe it didn't, but you'll get some information from my video. Just let me know what you guys think. Is this going to be the game changer we're all looking for? What's the price point that it needs to be at? Is it the $999, $899? Would an $899 5K aluminum screen make you buy it for like a Mac Mini or something? Is that where it has to be, or $799? You tell me. I'm just curious what the viewers think. And we'll kind of wrap this up now. I love making these videos because technology is kind of fun to fool around with, right? And you always have new stuff coming out, but very rarely is something like this where finally, after waiting for, what, 10, 15 years, there's a monitor that might be coming out that can challenge Apple's kind of foothold on these very premium monitors that aren't going to cost an arm and a leg. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. We'll talk to you soon, at least in a couple days. Peace.